I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you were on the lifeboat. People, let me get squared away here. Let's see. All right. So, let's see what we got. Scotch Sonic, good to see you, bud. Charlie Murphy is here. Always good to see you. Let's see. DJ Daddy-O, Mr. T, good to see you. Miss Hermit. Awesome, awesome. Seventh Son, faithful as always. I don't think you missed too many live feeds. Means the world to me. Let me get squared away here. And, okay, everybody. So, let's talk about last night's live feed. It was a good one, right? I think that a lot of them are good ones. We say it a lot, you know. It's there's always something in every live feed that I can take away and feel pretty good about, and last night was no exception. However, in fact, I think a lot of people really grooved to last night's live feed. We talked, if you happen to miss it, we were talking about the body and how the body affects the mind when it comes to sobriety. And I was Justin and Lucinda Roberts, great to see you. C.W. Terry, good to see you. Brandon, all right. Joanna W., the crew is piling in. But, so on last night's live feed, we talked about the body and how it affects sobriety, and it was a really great talk. A lot of people were chiming in with a lot of really great advice. A lot of people that seem to know a great deal about that subject matter, which was, you know, that's always big. It's always huge when the crew, you know, does what they do. There was more learning going on from you guys than there was from me, and that's really the dream. Don't have my glasses. Boy, I am on fire today. But when I got to the end of the live feed last night, people, you probably noticed, or maybe you didn't, but I ended it kind of abruptly. Boy, I started cramping last night. Had something going on with my stomach. No big deal, you know, not like end of the world stuff, but I started cramping with about 15 minutes left. Full of hope. Tommy, stomach really bad again. How's yours? It's funny. I just started talking about that. Full of hope. Right at the end of last night's live feed, with about 15 minutes to go, I started to cramp up, just get awful gas pains in my stomach. And I was really staring at the clock there at the end. I ended up, you know, getting to the end of it, but I was very close to scrapping that feed a little bit early, because I was just sort of in that, you know, that pain you get where you feel like you're going to explode. Well, that was really where I was at, and it was super painful. I'm glad that I got through the feed, but I bring that up because if it happens again today, I will probably bow out, and I want you to know why. Let me see here. Let me look a little crooked on this. Is that a little better? I don't know. Who knows whether or not that's looking good. Miss V, thank you for coming. Jacob Forrester, good to see you. Yeah, so it was just a painful moment. It really was. But fortunately it passed, and I took my own advice. People, last night I actually turned off all of my digital equipment. I scratched everything off and put it on the side of the bed, got it away from me so that I would get a proper night's sleep. And it probably took me about 2 hours, hour and a half maybe, to finally fall asleep. Brittany has eyes. Great to see you, Brittany. Joanna W., good to see you. It took literally a couple of hours, you know, hour and a half, a couple hours to finally fall asleep. Greta, glad that you're here. But you know what I did, people, is I went to YouTube and I did that, I can't remember what they call it, biannual, the stuff that gives you that boom, 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 boom kind of a sound. Put the headphones in. I'm wishing that I had done that earlier in the evening. It's something that I'm definitely going to start doing all the time. It literally put me to sleep. And maybe, you know, I'd like to try it from scratch because, like I said, I had been laying there for, you know, a good hour and a half before I, you know, put that in, hour and 15 minutes before I put that in, and, you know, it knocked me out. Tonight, I think I'm going to start that earlier, but I'm trying to get on a proper schedule where I fall asleep at the same time every night, and I get up at the same time every morning. I think that that's going to be something that that benefits me. Kiss Freak, great to see you. Glad that you made it in. Because I really want to get on a proper sleep schedule. You know, I preached about it last night, and I really do think it's something that's super important, and it's certainly not something that I've been doing a real good job at. You know, with the 2 live feeds, and by the way, no complaints. I love the 2 live feeds. I think it's a much better format for what we do. But with the 2 live feeds, you're looking at about 14 hours a week, right, of content that we put up, which is a lot. I mean, if you compare it to other YouTube channels, I don't know that anybody out there is putting up as much, you know, video content as we are. And it's great, but between that and answering comments and doing all of those things, it does take up a bit of time. And unfortunately, I tend to do it when I shouldn't. I tend to answer a lot of those emails and things, you know, late at night. And I promise you, it's something I'm going to stop doing. I don't mean answering you. I mean, I'm going to stop answering those things in the middle of the night. I'm going to start trying to, you know, get on a routine that is consistent from one day to the next to the next. Chi-Chi! She says, hey guys, I just wanted to pop in and say I love you all. I have an electrician, see, I don't have my glasses. I have an electrician coming by in a few minutes, so I can't stay. Well, we appreciate you popping in. We really do. And hopefully everything goes well with the electrician. I know that you've been rewiring some, you know, the water heater or something. I remember reading about it over on the lifeboat on the Facebook. So yeah, we knew that was going on. Keith, great to see you. Yeah, don't worry about it, Chi-Chi, and we will definitely catch you this evening. People, I spoke to Mark Wages. He's doing better. You know, he appreciates the thoughts and the prayers. I want to make sure that we continue to pray for the people in Kentucky. You know, we've got some people in the crew that are from that part of the world, and they're going through it. I think I said yesterday on the live feed that touchdown for 200 miles. Well, the truth is it was 230 miles. You know, if it touches down for 30 miles, that's incredible. But 230 miles, so it's just Arizona Raven. I'm so glad that you're here. Always a pleasure. So they need our thoughts and our prayers, as many as we can send their way. That's super important stuff. People, how is the sound quality? I have moved the microphone back a little bit. It's a really great microphone, but without putting a screen up, which is kind of difficult here, you get that kind of a sound. And I want to make sure that I don't have it so far away that it's not picking me up, but I don't have it so close that it starts to sound like I'm spitting on the microphone, because that's never a good sound. Excellent. I see some 5x5s. Good. Sounds great. Excellent. People, if you got to look at the thumbnail, right, before you came on here today, the thumbnail said, just for today. We talk a great deal. Truth. I'm checking in before work. We'll have to sign off early. That's all right, bud. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you. You know, one of the things that we talk about all of the time is you can't do anything about your past. You can't. There's no way to do a thing about your past except, you know, learn from it. That's really the only thing that you can hope to accomplish from the mistakes that we've all made. And all of us have made them. Even if you're out in the world and you don't have, you know, a history of any drug use or any addiction, everybody's got things in the past that they look back on and say, boy, I would have done that differently if I could do it over again. However, for those of us who are in this boat, right, all in the same boat, for those of us who are, you know, has spent a chunk of our life addicted to drugs or alcohol, we got a lot in our past that we would like to be able to change. The best that you can hope for is to learn from it. That's it. You're never going to do anything more than that. So, you know, what that leaves is, it leaves today and it leaves the future. I don't know anybody from that part of the world. We'll just turn that off. You know, it leaves the future and it leaves the present. And as far as the future goes, people, the best way to plan for the future is what you do today, right? There's no way to control the future, and it's very possible to spend a lot of time fretting and stressing about things that, very oftentimes as recovering addicts, we blow so out of proportion. We've talked about this a lot on recent live feeds where something that's coming up, you build it out of proportion, and it just becomes this thing that takes on its own life. Being a person on probation, this is something that I deal with on a regular basis. When you're on adult parole and probation with the federal government, there are 1,000,001 things that you have to do, and sometimes you can. I got a piece of mail yesterday from the probation department, and it was one of those situations where I wasn't here. I was out doing something, and my neighbor saw the mailman come by and deliver Christmas packages. So I said to the neighbor, please grab them, because it's an epidemic, as you probably know, in America these days. When people drop off your Christmas packages, the thieves come and take your Christmas presents, and they take them on home, which is never a good setup. Hunt, good to see you, my friend, Mr. Hunt. It's awful, but it happens every day. There are people that are just stealing Christmas presents. So I asked my neighbor to grab that, and he did. Then in the process, he said to me, oh, and there's 4 letters here. And since he's not going to see this, I will say that he tends to be a bit nosy. Good guy, but he's definitely looking out the window right now. It's just kind of one of those things that he does. So he said to me, oh, and you have a letter here from the probation department for the federal government. And he knows, everybody here knows basically what my past is. So for the 3 hours that I was out during the day yesterday, I built up in my head what this could be. And I got so stressed out. I've got this correspondence from the feds. What is it that they want? Am I in trouble? Oh, yes, Captain. It's gross how people watch out for your neighbors. Yes, be there for one another. Yeah, it really is awful. People are stealing packages. It's disgusting. But for 3 hours, I just built this up in my head. Right? They were going to revoke my probation. They were going to send me back to prison. I haven't failed a drug test. I haven't missed a meeting. I haven't done one thing that could possibly make them upset at probation. But instead of just being logical and going, got to be just run-of-the-mill paperwork, that's logic. But we don't do that. As recovering addicts, we always go to the lowest common denominator. We go to the worst possible case scenario, and that's exactly what I did. I sat there and stressed and stressed and stressed, and then I got home and picked this thing up. And again, I wish I had my glasses with me, people, but it's called the PCRA, right? Which is it's a questionnaire that asks you how you think you're doing since getting out of being incarcerated. And it asks questions that you answer on a scale of 1 to 5, like you agree, you really agree, or you don't agree at all, how you do those type of things. And just really insignificant stuff. I have that fear when everything is going well, something bad must be around the corner. Truth, we all do that. Hey, John, I'm glad that you made it on here, brother. Good to see you. Truth, we all do that. And I did it. I got nothing to worry about. I'm not doing anything wrong. But for 3 hours, I was ready to get revoked, right? What could I have done? You know what I mean? Like maybe there's something that, from my past that they didn't, maybe there was a warrant or something. Maybe I had a speeding ticket that I never took care of. And people, I couldn't got out of prison if I had a speeding ticket. For real. They don't let you out if there's any of these things. But my head just starts going and the gears start turning. And then I get home and read this ridiculous, piece of mail that I haven't filled out yet. But they just want to know how I'm doing. Right. But that's not where I went. And for 3 hours of my day, because I'm not good at this, people, I've never claimed to be a guru. I'm in the same boat as everybody here, right? I just organized us all getting together, but I'm in the same boat as everybody. I go through the same things, and boy, did I go through it yesterday. I really, truthfully talked myself into and that was just one of the 15 awful scenarios that I painted in my head. None of them good. And then I got home and, oh, by the way, the package was fruit from Florida. unbelievable. Grapefruits like this big. It was just, it was a beautiful thing. It was a Christmas gift from a relative. But that mail, until I opened it up and looked at it, and it started getting me thinking about how we really get stressed out about the future, and it's really. Did you laugh at yourself? Yeah, I did. I'm still laughing at myself if you want to know the truth. Yeah. And, oh, you love grapefruit? Brittany, I'm telling you, there's nobody on the planet that loves grapefruit more than I do. I love grapefruit. And these are, grapefruit tends to have just a pinch of bitter, just enough, but it's rare that you get one that's also sweet along with it. These things are ridiculous. They're from Harry and David. I don't know if you guys know that company, but their fruit is just... I should take a picture of all of it and put it up. I think I'll do that and put it up on the Facebook page, because the pile of fruit I got is like this high, right? I've got it on a platter, and it's just ridiculous. Really good stuff. I love fruit. I'm definitely that guy. But it really got me thinking about, and yes, I laughed at myself, but it got me thinking about how most of us do this. Most of us in recovery don't do well when we concentrate on the future. When we start thinking about it, like Truth just said, we're so used to something bad happening. We're so used to the other shoe dropping, that now that we're living the life that we're supposed to, it doesn't mean that we're going to be cool with everything going on. You're still going to revert back. Mark Wages was talking about it the other day. There was his prescription. He called the pharmacy and they said, your prescription's, it's not here. And instead of thinking, well, maybe they just haven't called it in yet, or any of those things, he immediately went to the worst possible case scenario, and that's one of those things that I think all of us do. So it's the reason that I put up the subject matter today. We all really need to live in the moment. We need to concentrate on today. There's nothing we can do about yesterday. There's no way to control it. And tomorrow, there's not a whole lot we can do. You want tomorrow to be good? Make today awesome. If you make today awesome, tomorrow will take care of itself. And the proof of that is there's nothing that parole and probation is going to do to me. I got nothing to worry about. And now that I'm removed from the situation, I realize that there's nothing I got nothing to worry about. It's a stupid questionnaire. But boy, did I build that puppy up. It really was one of those things that took me out of my serenity. And what's really awful is, you remember the video I did called Choose to be Beautiful, right? Well, if you're choosing to be beautiful, you kind of have to have a mindset to do that. You have to put your head in a good place. And in doing that, then all of your interactions with every person that you have during the day helps those people have a better day. It helps you have a better day. It helps your serenity, your sobriety, all of those things. Well, as I'm driving around and taking care of all of the things that I had to take care of yesterday, worried that the probation department is out to get me, I don't think I was very beautiful. I think I was probably a jerk. I mean, I wasn't being mean to people, but I certainly wasn't being that sort of bubbly person that I really wanted to be. I want to be positive. I want to affect every single person I meet in a positive way. That was the purpose of that video, right? Choose to be beautiful. We really can affect the entire world. If there were 5 of us on this channel, we could affect the entire world if the 5 of us just went out and started to be nice to everybody we come in contact with. You really can make a difference. You make a difference in one person's life, and then they go do something, and then that person goes, and it's that butterfly effect. And it just ripples out, and amazing things come from it. But yesterday, I wasn't making any ripples, not for those 3 hours. So I think everybody in sobriety needs to make a very conscious effort. Yes, it's good to watch out for your, for the neighborhood. Yeah, no question. And I live in a really great neighborhood. I'm blessed with where I live. There are places that are, I would have to be worrying about this a lot more. But nevertheless, the holiday season brings out the best and the worst in society. And that's just the nature of where we're at. The best is always on display in the holidays. But then there are going to be people that take advantage of that. There are always going to be people that take advantage of that. I read something in the paper the other day. They busted a group of people that were robbing homes, right? And they had done a ton of them. And the way that they were robbing homes is they were looking in the newspaper for obituaries. And they were seeing when these individuals were having the... I'm sorry, that's a beautiful statement. Truth says that's a beautiful statement. The desire to help others is self-rewarding. The anxiety and self-doubt can get in the way. I tend to call these thoughts my demons. Absolutely. I tend to call them ants, right? The automatic negative thoughts, the things that keep up. You know what, people? We're friends, right? Are we all friends? We're friends, right? I think we're friends. I hope we're all friends. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to walk away and I'm going to leave the screen dead. And I'm going to go get my glasses. Sorry, it has to happen. Hey, how you doing? Can you imagine the fun things that I'm going to be accused of in the 3 minutes that I wasn't on camera? Okay, Full of Hope says, growing up in an alcoholic home, I learned that the good days invariably preceded the horrid chaos. I still cannot enjoy good things without anticipation of catastrophe. I wasn't laughing at what you read, but I have a delay, you understand? So as I'm reading this on the screen, I see myself come running through the door, which was just kind of funny. You know what, Hope? You perfectly described what happens with the average addict. You know, there are times when things go well, and usually you're right. Shortly thereafter, he leaves Captain and comes back Homer Simpson. This is something, it's a phenomenon that is very unique to addicts. We really don't have 6 or 7 good days in a row when you're in the life. It's simply not the case. Things are great when you're under the influence. You know, right around the first of the month, I remember when I was in the process of using, there were all of these people that got their checks on the first of the month from the government. And for 5 or 6 days, they didn't worry about fixing. They didn't worry about having to go and steal. They didn't worry about anything. And the whole tenor of the hood would change. Everybody was just, hey, how you doing? And joking around. And by day 7, when that money had run out and the desperation started to come in, everything just changed. And that's sort of the nature of drug addiction in general. I don't know how many times I have lost sleep and peace of mind, worried over literally nothing. Just human nature. You know something? You're right. It is human nature. But our human nature tends to be more so, right? We tend to take emotions and run with them in ways that are not healthy. We're over the top in everything that we do. You know, we joke all the time that the Scoville motto is, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Well, that was with everything that we did. And emotions are no different. We can rewire and create better habits. You bet we can. That's Brittany Has Eyes. You're absolutely right. You can completely rewire your brain. But I will make a suggestion. When you rewire the brain, do so to concentrate on today. You know, do so just to concentrate on a day. We all addict. We all have the power to get addicted to healthy things. You bet. And you know something? I did a video on this a while back talking about, you know, there are people who say, I have an addictive personality. If you have an addictive personality and that's really in your nature, then get on track to have that, you know, that propensity to jump all over something and really dive into it. Pick things that are going to be good for you. Because realistically, there are people that get addicted to things very, very quickly. I'm one of them. Jacob Forrester says, never mind those foul troglodyte ghouls. They'd try to find negatives in a 5-star steakhouse. You know, the term troglodyte does not get used enough in society. I'm not I'm not trying to say that there's anyone out there that doesn't know what that word means, but just in case there is, it refers to a cave dweller, right? It refers to somebody that used to live in a cave. Those people were called troglodytes, and it's such a great thing used the way he just did. Let's see here. I have a severe social anxiety, but I work with the public every day, so I'm always on edge. Also, not to mention, I have to see and sell my demon. Oh, yeah, you sell alcohol. That is tough, my brother. That really is. Justin and Lucinda Roberts, it's influenced by our society, experience, environment, addictions, etc. The good news is you can learn to identify those ants and squash them. Well said, Truth. And that's the key. Honestly, taking what you just said and bringing that into focus with what Brittany said and with what the Scotch Sonnet just said as well. You know what? As we rewire our brains, we really have to focus on today. It's so much easier than saying, well, I'm going to rewire my brain so that, as I look to the future, I don't get stressed out about anything. Nah, just live in the moment. When you rewire your brain, do it for right now. Live for today. It makes everything about what we do easier. If I said to you, for the rest of your life, you need to be kind to every single person you ever meet, that's daunting. That's over the top. That's one of those things that you think about and go, I'm not sure I can pull that off, Captain. There are going to be days where, no, today, choose to be beautiful. Today, choose not to use. Today, choose not to stress out about anything that's going to happen down the road. If you just focus on this day, and I'm guilty as hell of not doing this because the longer that I've been sober, the more that I start to think about the future and I start to dwell in it. And it doesn't pay off. It really doesn't. We're all going to make plans. I'm not saying that you can't plan for the future and things like that. What you can't do is obsess about it. You can't allow it to dictate how your emotional well-being for the day is going to be. Because if you allow that to happen, then you're on the way downhill. Check out mindfulness material. Brittany, good advice. Sarah Beasley said, I live for today, but I prepare for tomorrow. That's how you prepare for tomorrow, Sarah. Honestly, if you live for today, you will be preparing for tomorrow. I read a quote by somebody about this, that the best way to prepare for the future is to take care of today. And it really is the fact. If you concentrate on today and you make sure that you're not using today, then there's not a lot to worry about tomorrow. I got to get fully addicted to my workout program. Hard to be consistent with connective tissue disorder, even with light weight. But I know I can work around those sore spots. Jacob, if there's anyone that can do it, I believe you can. Full of Hope says, yes, I became an exercise addict. Got up at 4:30 to get 2 hours of gym work in before work. Then I couldn't take time off of work because I needed my gym fix. Yeah. Truth says it's a lifelong struggle for all of us. Learn to be self-aware first, then you can identify the ants. The gurus almost always acknowledge it is a lifelong journey. I am not one of those gurus, but I will absolutely agree with you that it is a lifelong journey. And if there's anything that, we've been saying this a lot. I've been saying this a lot lately because the cliche that you hear constantly is it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's not a marathon, right? It's the rest of your life. It's a journey that never ends. And you know what, people? It gets easier. I promise it gets easier. But it's never going to be second nature. It's never going to be something that we don't always sort of need to keep short accounts of where we're at and where we are. People, I tell you, I get up and I watch the sunrise. It's a huge part of my life. I watch the sunrise because I couldn't when I was incarcerated. And I vowed that I wasn't going to miss a sunrise ever for the rest of my life. So I got up, I make the bed, I do what I do, and then I watch the sunrise. And for a little over 2 weeks, I haven't been doing it. Just haven't been doing it. Today was ugly this morning. It was 20 some odd degrees, and I went out and I watched the sunrise. And it occurred to me last night while talking to... I was talking to a very, very close friend on the phone before I went to bed, someone that I talk to every day. And I said to them, I'm in relapse. Brittany Has Eyes says, me too, Captain. I would hate being forced to miss it. It was awful, Brittany. It really was awful. And, there was a lot of things like that, like feeling grass between your toes and all of the things that you sort of take for granted when you're free. I think freedom very often is wasted on the free. They don't appreciate it because they've never had it taken from them. I mean, the fact that you're not missing sunrises probably means you're not one of those people. But so last night I admitted to my best friend, I said, I'm in relapse. I'm fully in relapse. Now, it doesn't mean I used dope. You understand? Relapse is a process, but I was not moving forward. I have been moving backwards. And I don't know, the holiday season, certain stressors that come up in your life. I have been, I wonder how many people read quotes and actually apply them. I wonder how many people apply anything, Sarah. Truthfully, anything. I used to sell, as a public speaker, I used to sell things from the front of the room, right? And one of the things that we sold was business opportunities. So like how to make money in real estate, right? Or how to make money on the internet or whatever. And, there was a guy that we sold an internet package to who ended up building a business out of it and selling it for $470 million, right? Whew, almost $500 million. And he bought a package for $400 and turned it into $500 million. But in the same room were people who bought that same product and would say, traveling from coast to coast has a certain degree of unsettling. Yeah, it does. But there were people in that same room that said, I got ripped off. The difference between the guy that made $500 million and the guy that said I got ripped off is one guy bought a package and thought this is the roadmap to success. The other guy bought a package and said, where's my paycheck? I gave you guys money. Mail me some, right? You told me that I could make money doing this. Well, give me the money. There are people you're going to meet in life throughout your entire time on this planet where if you said to them, I've got $1 million in cash, they would say to you, man, this stuff weighs like 26 pounds. I got to carry this myself. I mean, there are people that no matter what you do, they're not going to apply the things that they learn because their negativity, honestly, everything comes back to negativity. It really does. The ants, the automatic negative thoughts that say things like, well, this will never work. I'm never going to be successful. It's probably just a scam anyway. There are people, Tommy, I don't have many goals yet, but you have helped me see that life is not over. Old mindset, new life now. You're damn right it's not over. It's not even started. People, if you're 50 and you got sober today, your life just started. And if you think, oh, well, life doesn't, you can't, start at 50 or there's, you guys ever eat Kellogg's cereal? Right? Everybody's had Kellogg's cereal, I assume. Everybody's had that. The guy that started that company was in his 50s. It doesn't matter what, once you start today and you say, this is the beginning of the rest of my life, you can live an amazing life. Life just started. Get excited about it. But it really boils down to your attitude in everything. It boils down to your attitude. I don't care what you're talking about. There's an old cliche that public speakers, it's not a cliche, it's a story, but public speakers all use it. And they talk about they got 2 rooms and it's filled with horse crap. And you've got people in there and their jobs are to get rid of that horse crap. And, you've got adults in there and they're shoveling and they're talking about how bad it smells and they're just disgusted and they're talking about how much of it is and it's going to take hours to get rid of all of this and they're just miserable. And then you go one room over and there's 2 kids in there doing it. And they're laughing and smiling and joking. So the guy goes in and says to him, you seem really happy to be doing this. And the kid goes, are you kidding? With all of this horse crap, there's got to be a pony around here somewhere. Right? It's how you view life. It's how you look at everything that is going to determine what your existence is going to be. Is it going to be awesome or is it going to be crap? Again, getting back to incarceration, I used to sit in the cell and watch rain because when it starts raining, they don't want to let you outside. Colonel Sanders was in his late in his years when KFC became a worldwide franchise. You bet. You bet. I'm telling you, life starts when you say it starts. That's completely up to you. It's all about your mindset. There's no other way around it. It's how you view things. I used to look at people outside in the rain and think, God, I would love to feel that on my skin. I would love to be outside in a rainstorm. I'd like to be able to make that decision. And I'm telling you, people, I'm not saying I'm perfect at everything, because I'm not. But when it rains, you don't hear me bitch about it. For real. You know, there's something about going outside and feeling that rain on you. And you got one guy who's smiling and the rest of the world is grimacing and complaining as they run from doorway to doorway. The difference is perspective. The difference is always perspective. Your perspective rules your attitude. Your attitude rules your life. How you look at things, right? The perspective. If you change that perspective, you know, Cindy just did. And that's a beautiful thing. In fact, I don't think it could be any cooler. I really don't. That's going to be the highlight of this live feed. For me, it's going to be the highlight of this live feed. Of course, life didn't end. You're just getting rolling. The crappy life just ended. That's why we get sober, right? We want the bad to stop and we want the good to start. And it doesn't matter how old you are. I'm not saying it's not awesome if you can get that under control when you're younger. My incarcerations were less than 3 days at a time, but even in those short times, it was horrible. The worst for me was just the waiting. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a preoccupation with time. I'm a horophile, right? A horophile is somebody that, honestly, all things, clocks, watches, I have a fascination with all things having to do with keeping track of time. And one of the hardest things for me was going from loving time to hating it. Because when you're in prison, the clock moves a little bit slower. You know, it really moves a little bit slower. And you want it to speed up. And that is, think about that phenomenon for a minute. There's nobody on this planet who's free who thinks, boy, I hope I get old quicker. You know, I hope the next 6 years of my life go zipping by. But you have to change your mindset when you're in there. And one of the things that I learned, oh yeah, hourglasses are awesome. I actually have one of those, Brittany. I'll have to pull it out of here on one of these feeds. I'll have to bring out my hourglass. They're awesome. They really are. And any device to keep track of time to me is just fascinating. But what I had to learn, and the way that I got through prison without going insane, was I came to believe that no matter where you are planted, you're supposed to bloom. And once that mindset changed, once I went from, you know, being a guy that was just in there grumbling and kind of living the same life as everybody else, I started teaching yoga classes, and I started what was to become, you know, the concepts of the lifeboat. I started talking to people on a daily basis about getting sober, and I started to put together classes where guys would come and talk just like we're doing right now. And I would talk to people about sobriety, and it was a volunteer basis. And you know, when I started, I think there was me and 2 other guys, and it went like that for a long time. And then one person came in who must have been one of the most influential cats anywhere, because he came into the group and within probably 3 or 4 weeks, there was about 60 people there. So he must have gone out and just marketed what we were doing to everybody. But and then word of mouth kicked in, and we ended up, I have a picture of the whole crew. I will, you know, I'd love to show it to you, but unfortunately I don't want to be showing faces of all of these people that maybe don't want people knowing where they were, or, you know, things like that. But wherever you're planted, you're supposed to bloom. Wherever you are in life, you're supposed to make the best of it. And, you know, there are people in prison who, honestly, you look at them and you say, I don't know how this person is as happy as they are. Well, that's the secret of life, isn't it? Isn't it? Right? Don't you want to be happy everywhere you are? Like, no matter where you are, you want to be happy. One of the things that I learned very early on was they could take everything away from me. Right? They could take everything, my possessions, my property, my freedom. They couldn't take my mind. And the things that I was able to do with my mind while I was in there, one of the things that was huge was sense of humor. You know, I was going to laugh. I don't care. I was going to crack jokes. I was going to do everything I could to not just laugh, but to make other people laugh. You know, it really became almost a mission of mine, you know? I don't know if you can hear that noise, people. But that is snow crunching under the wheels of the vehicles that are driving outside my house. It's cold and it's ugly out there. I'm hoping that the sun comes out and melts some of this snow so that I can get out on the road and go get a kitty. I very badly want that cat. Cool, Jacob. That might become my new addiction. Let me see what that is. Look up the Nobel collection. Let's see what that is about. Oh no, licensed Harry Potter props. Very cool. Captain, don't have much time to stay. I'm at work currently. Done an hour and 30 minutes. I will send you a message on Messenger about my friend who quit. Love to everyone. Please send me that message. I would really appreciate that. Stacy Michaels, very good to see you. She says, this is a very important message today in light of... You left me hanging. In light of everything, I would say. Had any kitten been talked about worldwide before its adoption? Had any kitten been talked about worldwide before its adoption? I don't know the answer to that. Oh, Stacy says, my present attitude. You know what? I love it anytime. It's one of my favorite things in the world these days. You know, when I talk about what floats my boat. One of the things that really makes me happy is when somebody says, I needed to hear this message today. Like, that's the coolest thing in the world. And I really like it when Brittany says, yes! Because I know I probably said something that she agreed with, and it's nice whenever that happens. Yeah. Captain, how about a private sesh later? Yep, absolutely. Reach out to me, brother. I'd be more than happy to talk to you privately. Bex, hi, good to see you. Yes. Yeah, I do love that. I really do. You know, people, it's another one of those things, right? It's all about perspective. And I got to a point in this that I started to lose the fun that I was having with this channel. And I was really open with my friends about it. Hold on. I told my daughter that if her job means sweeping floors, cleaning dishes, to do it cheerfully, because you have to do it, you might as well do it happy. Grumbling just affects you, so mop and smile. You're absolutely right. That is awesome, because truthfully, it's not just that, but all of the people that you come in contact with, right? Your life ought to be a mission. Everything you do in life should be a mission to make the world a kinder place. And if that sounds like psychobabble or new age stuff or whatever, I don't care. Because that really should be everybody's mission, to make life just a little bit nicer, to make the earth just a nicer place to be. And whether you are a plumber or a doctor or a lawyer or a counselor or a guy that runs a YouTube channel, right? Everything should always be done in such a way by wonderful people. Much love and respect to all of you and your family. Stay sober, stay sable. I look forward to talking to you later, Vapor. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate that. And I mean this, people. Every day should be a mission to just make the earth a little bit kinder. That's one of those things that sort of has to happen. So, before I squirreled off on that, because it was a great comment, before I squirreled off on that, I had gotten to a place where I wasn't having fun on this channel. And if you go back and watch the videos, you could probably figure out about when that was happening. And there were a lot of reasons for that. And most of you probably know some of them. But it got to a point where it felt like a job. And the last thing in the world that I want is for this to feel like a job. If it starts to feel like a job, I'll find somebody to replace me. I mean, I would never shut the thing down because it's way too important. But if it starts to feel like a job to me, I promise I'll put somebody else's butt in this chair. Somebody who's passionate and excited about it, because you got to be. If you're not passionate about this, you shouldn't be doing it. Agreed? You got to all agree with me on that. And then you know what happened? Perspective. My perspective changed. I stopped caring about all of the things that were dragging me down. And I started to care about the people on the channel. And I don't mean, it's great. It's exciting if 25 new people come to your channel a day. But truthfully, I don't care anymore. I don't. If this channel had 100 people on it, and those 100 people come here on a daily basis or every other day or once a week or whatever works for them, and they actually use what we're doing here and bouncing stuff off of all of the people in the comment section, and all of you are helping one another, then it gets fun and it gets exciting. And when people say things in the comment section that you can see growth happening with people, then that's awesome. Nothing changed. It's the exact same show. I'm doing the exact same thing. What changed? My perspective. That's it. Same thing. Only now I'm having a ball. I don't care about all of the other things. I don't care about tomorrow. I care about this live feed. Tonight's live feed, I didn't hear yet. I'm not going to stress out about tonight's live feed. And doing what we're doing and doing it now in the format that we're doing. I mean, you probably notice people. We come in here. It's a real brief 5-minute, hey, here's why I decided to pick this subject. And now everybody in the comments section is bouncing stuff off of one another and really cool stuff is happening. That's the dream. Waiting to hear from my counselor about my train tickets. All right. So I really am to the point where I'm coming to believe that your perspective will absolutely determine your reality. I don't just mean your happiness, right? I don't. One of the other things is when we changed the business model, this is a business. Even if I'm here to have fun, because of the fact that there is a financial thing attached to this, it is at some form and some level a business. I've never really cared if this business made any money. I really haven't. But when we changed the model up to what we've done now, it really has changed that. And I would like at some point for this to be self-sustaining so that when I'm not in school, I don't have to figure out. I think I've told you people, I've got a little stash of cryptocurrency from what I did when I first got out of prison. I bought a lot of crypto with all the money I made. The federal government put me in a halfway house and they suspended the 25% of the paycheck that they usually took because of the C plus math that was going on. And I took all of that cash and I put it into crypto. And I got really lucky with a lot of them. And I still sort of fought around with that. You know what I mean? I day trade a little bit here and do things like that. But eventually that will run out. When that does, I hope that this thing would become self-sufficient. Not enough to make me rich, but enough to keep me alive so that I can continue to do it. With the current business model, that may be something that's difficult to do. But I've also gotten to a point where perspective, once again, has changed. I don't really worry about it. Tommy, create long playlists which I can play on second browser with ads, etc. You know what? It's not a bad idea. We're also talking about 3 or 4 other different things that we can do. But I've really come to believe, I'm not preaching, people. I'm sorry if it sounds like I am. But even though this isn't a religious channel, I can't share my life with you without saying some things about God, because it's a big part of my life. So if I offend anybody, I'm sorry. But I've come to believe that God's going to show me how this is going to work. And I'm not tripping. I'm not worried about it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm having fun. I'm living in the moment. I'm coming here and I'm doing the live feeds and I'm waiting for Brittany to say yes, right? And I'm waiting for people to come here and share the things that are going on in their life. I'm watching people's lives change. I'm getting emails from people who say, my life is changing. I'm living in the moment. And when the perspective changes and you start doing that, really great things happen. Scotch Sonnet says, passion, positivity, and perspective are paramount, people. You got to love the alliteration. The man's a beast. He really is. Yeah, it really becomes, it becomes something that if you change your perspective, you're going to be a lot happier in life. And I really believe that. The product is always more important than the profit. And the honest business person. Oh, you know what, people? I hate to do this, but this is my son. I got to do this to make sure that nothing's wrong. Hey, Spanx, how you doing? I'm on a live feed. Are you okay? Oh, I love you and I miss you too. When the live feed's over, I'll ring you up. Okay, I've only got about 10 more minutes. Love you, bye. All right, I am sorry, people, but you never know, right? It could have been something serious. As it turns out, he just wanted to tell me he loves me. How cool is that? Full of Hope says, Tommy, I got out of crypto a month ago after 6 years. Got a bad feeling. You know what? You got to trust those feelings. You really got to trust those feelings when they happen. Where are the murder hornets? Those, are you talking about those huge things? Boy, they scared the crap out of you, huh? Those things were massive. Family first always, Tommy. Thanks, Chi-Chi. I appreciate that. And you know what? I will always do that. And you know why? Because I couldn't take his phone calls when I was in prison. And I couldn't reach out and I couldn't help him and I couldn't do squat. And it was a awful feeling. And coming to grips with the fact that, you know, when you go to prison, no matter how much you love them, you're not a good dad. You know, you can't be incarcerated and be a good father. It's people talk about quality time, and quality time is a really important thing. You know what's more important? Quantity. Believe that. You know, well, I spend quality time with my son. If you're taking an hour every couple of days, the most you can do is to spend as much time with your kid as you possibly can. And I didn't do that when I was in prison. It was and you're not a good dad. If you're not there, you're not a good dad. Hey, Spanks, good to see you. Speaking of the little guy, not very little anymore, but by the way, since he wasn't here yesterday when I talked about this, I was looking for the transcripts to get sent away so that love one another. Great quote from you-know-who. Yeah, you're right. Spanks says, look at you now, though. Thank you, my boy. Means the world to me. Yeah. It is a great quote, by the way. It really is a good quote. I smacked one with a golf club driver and didn't affect it at all. Then that is a very serious wasp. That's frightening. Spanky, while I was looking for my transcripts, I came across what I thought was lost. I have every single picture of you from when you were a kid. You know, we talked about this. He had visited me recently, and I thought that I had lost all of these. I found all of them. I'm talking about hundreds of pictures. I was sending some of them to your sister the other day, but I've got tons and tons of pictures of you. Let's see if any of them made it into this room, because I was taking pictures. I will embarrass my boy if there are any in here, but there might not be. Oh yeah, I do have one here. All right, people, should I embarrass my kid? Here you go. This was Spanky as a little boy with his cat, who was as big as him at the time. That is Ralphie. But that was my boy. You should see him now. He's huge. But yeah, so I found every single picture from when you were a kid, which is really cool. It was one of those feelings that really, I can't tell you the joy that came from that. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. Let me see something here. Brandon. I need to back up. 13 days sober, 2 weeks tomorrow, Brandon. Good for you, brother. And you're doing it through some tough times. There's a lot going on in your life and you're still doing it. You know what I mean? Brandon, you're killing it. I'm proud of you. I hate that peeps don't have actual photos anymore, all on a phone. I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. It is absolutely awful that these days we don't have, the paper. It's just really different. Yeah, Ralphie. There's a bunch of pictures of you and him too, kid. It would take me, if I tried to photograph them and send them to you, it'd take 3 weeks. But when the next time you come out here for your birthday, we'll go through all of them. You take some of the ones you want. They're just, hundreds and hundreds of them. It's incredible. A lot of really funny stuff. Yeah, Brandon, we're proud of you, brother. We really are. In fact, when's the last time you saw this, people? Huh? Brandon, the trophy is yours today, my friend. I'm proud of you. 2 weeks, and for those of you that don't know, he's been wrestling with the C+ math. There's just been a lot of crap going on in his life, and he's fighting the good fight currently, which is amazing. Really unbelievable. Good for you, man. Yeah, Spank says, big deal, bro. The first month is the hardest, I feel. And you're absolutely right. The first month, the first week, the first day, your firsts are always the hardest part of any journey back to society. To sobriety. It is always hard in the beginning. You're laying new cables in the brain. You're as Brittany said earlier, you're reprogramming. You're reprogramming the mind, and in the process of doing that, that is not what is the C plus math. It is that awful thing that has been going around that we don't say on here because the algorithm buries your video if you do. Right? There was a number after it. That number was a little bit bigger than the number 18. Okay, well, you really got to be careful with how you word that, or the algorithm will literally bury your video. So we call it the C plus math. Amy says, please pray for my daughter. If you pray or send positive thoughts, can't explain now. You don't have to. We got you. We got you, Amy. People, everybody got that? I will pop over and put that in the Facebook group as well. Because that's important. We all know that Amy's out there to care for her daughter, so we want to make sure that happens. The Swiss Vapor says, Captain explains later. Okay, I will. You must be aware that there's been an epidemic going around. That's the epidemic we're referring to. So, Bex, feeling a little saucy today. Prayers and good vibes your way, Amy, says Cindy Lamb. I appreciate that, Cindy, and I know that she does as well. It's great to see everybody come together. It's what makes the boat what it is. Stacy Michael says, prayer for your dear daughter, Amy. Thank you, Stacy. Really appreciate that as well. Yeah. And yeah, we've got everything we need here, Bex. No need to send any our way. Charlie Murphy, thank you for putting up. That is the link to the Facebook group. If you are not on that Facebook group, I really would suggest that you do so. You will be happy. That's points for difficulty. C plus math and sobriety up at the same time. I'm truly impressed, says Jacob Forrester. You hear that, Brandon? I must concur with him. I am thoroughly impressed. That is not an easy thing to do that you're doing right now, and you're doing it. And it's going to make life a whole lot easier. Tommy mentioned the huge trucks I drive at work yesterday. I will share a picture in the group after the live. Excellent. I had a bunch of people, believe it or not, that messaged me about your trucks. So I'm glad to hear that. Thought it was called the Metaverse now. Yeah, it is called Meta, I believe. They're calling it Meta. Yeah, Brittany, wait till you see these trucks. There's no way to do it justice until you see it. It is ridiculous. It's huge. But are you at Suncor, says Chi-Chi. Oh, see that? The Canadians are chatting up. I'm sorry. Couldn't resist that. It's like, it's one of those things. Brittany Has Eyes says like or share. I never said that, but I never say that, but I'm glad when other people do. Love you all so much. Thank you. Hope to be back tonight. Amy, we hope you're back tonight. If you're feeling, if you need me, reach out to me. You know how to get a hold of me. Charlie, I'm ready to get in on the group messenger. Still afraid. I don't speak the right words, but I think it'll be okay. Hey, you know what? There's no such thing as the right words. For real. This isn't the other Facebook. This is the lifeboat. Come on, Cindy. There's nobody here that's going to judge you for anything. Don't worry about the right words. Show up there. The right words are the ones you say. You understand? There's a lot of love on this boat, and there's a lot of love for you on this boat. No fear of that, Cindy. No fear of that. I promise you. Great White North, eh? DJ Daddy-O, glad you got that reference. Of course you would, though, because we're the only two people here that are older than dirt. O and D are not Roman numerals. Well played, Scotch Sonnet. Great. Love it. Chi-Chi said, I'm glad I caught some of this stream. Chi-Chi, we are glad you caught some of this stream. And hopefully we're not keeping you up too late at night. We'd love to see you there tonight. Oh, no, sometimes stuff comes out when I'm nervous, embarrasses me. Got nothing to be embarrassed about in this crew. You think something comes out of your... out of you that embarrasses you? Think about me. I got to sit in front of this thing and talk, and I make a jackwagon out of myself all the time. Why don't I move over at Rockfin? Rockfin. I don't know what Rockfin is, Bex. I have no idea what that is. But I'm not afraid of moving. I'm not afraid of change. I will Google what that is as soon as I get off the live feed, and I will look into that. The right feeling drives the right words. Good intent helps you find the right words. Beautiful, Jacob. Cindy Lamb says, oh my God, you're my hero, Tommy. Oh, you need to set your sights a whole lot higher if I'm your hero, Cindy. You really need to up the bar. I mean it. But thank you. That's a lovely thing to say. Chi-Chi says, Cindy, I call it word vomit, and it happens to me all the time. Oh, it's a free speaking platform with no censure. I will look into that, Bex. I really appreciate that. I will absolutely look into that. All right, people. We have come to the top of the hour, and you know what that means. The top of the hour means it's time to call this live feed, and, it is a day. So, I look forward to seeing each and every one of you tonight on the live feed. Between now and then, people, you have but one assignment, and you know what that assignment is. It's to reach out and try to save somebody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. This is the Lifeboat. Thank you so much for all of you who came today and made this a great feed, like you always do. And we will see you on the 6 o'clock feed. That will be on Oculi Mortis's time. That's the West Coast, the best coast, the left coast. I will see you then. Thank you, everybody. You guys mean the world to me. I'm out of here.